Right. When it comes to inferior program design, what we're talking about is obviously just really common mistakes you see in gyms around the world with commercial trainers, in commercial gyms where they're just basically glorified babysitters is what I'd call them. Is they're just rep counters. There's no thought process. There's no strategy. There's no really any plan of attack to help take a client from point A to point B over a period of time, or obviously let alone in that training session. So obviously we want superior program design, inferior, not so much. With a couple of these things, guys, I'm going to cover. I just want to kind of really drill in though that a lot of these things I did as a young coach when I started off in the industry 15 years ago. And it's important to understand because you'll probably have made these mistakes or are making these mistakes now, and that's okay. We all make mistakes as a coach along this journey. We're not all perfect, or I'm definitely never perfect yet. I'm always trying to get better. But if you make mistakes and you see that I make if I cover something that you're doing, don't get angry, like, oh, how dare he, make me feel bad and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's kind of making you go, all right, cool. I recognize that I'm probably not doing that well. I need to get better and then make a change. It's really important. We all make mistakes, but it's whether or not you want to make a change and get better as a coach, or do you want to keep doing the same thing? Okay. So with inferior program design, first, let's just cover making you understand that anyone can write a training program, but most don't really have any clear-cut goal. They're just putting exercise together for the sake of it. And some programs can be doing more harm than good. A lot of beginners are doing programs that are just so far advanced in what they should be doing endless amounts of sets on their legs when they can barely handle 3-4 sets of split squats. And so that recovery is just non-existent. So things like this is just so common we see, and just smashing people. And the last thing they need to do is really be smashed in the first few weeks when just trying to build a base. In the gym, you can do anything, but not everything. So what I actually see a lot is trainers pretty much pick everything they can and do a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, a bit of that. And in the end, you do a whole lot of nothing. Okay. So it's not about choosing every machine in the gym. It's not about training every rep range necessarily, every single phase. And it's not about necessarily doing every different type of energy system training, every different cardio session. It's about being specific what we're doing, why are we choosing something, and how we're going to use that to create adaptations to elicit a response for the client's goal. Often it's also hard to see the difference between superior and inferior programming. It takes time as a coach, but often you can see people as coaches, they make really bad decisions, or something's like a squat rack's taken and then they choose an exercise which makes no sense whatsoever. Or you see a coach just doing the same program, same rep range, same sets, client after client after client after client. It's just this one kind of size fits all approach routine. And that's obviously something we want to avoid as well, because it's meant to be personalized. So what do you want to avoid, guys? So we've got 12 different indicators that we are going to go into. Okay, so these are really kind of our really most common things we see that people do all over. And these mistakes are really what's holding back trainers from getting great results. Okay, so if you can correct these, it's going to help a lot improve your ability to have a better business, get better results, and obviously truly help people. So lack of personalization. Sorry if you hear those text messages I'm getting, I thought I'd turn that off. Lack of personalization, guys. So remember, personal training, we're trying to create programs specific to an individual. For me, these days, obviously, I sell a lot of programs en masse, but I'm also selling at a very cheap price point because I'm trying to give people an insight to what I do at a price that they can all afford worldwide. But personalized coaching, you're paying for someone's time, so it's going to cost more. So my 12-week programs cost less than a face-to-face session with a beginner trainer in Sydney. So for one hour session. So that's the thing. But when someone's paying you a premium for that price, you need to personalize it to the client. Okay. So for me, I can coach to the average. I've done it for a long time, but they're also not paying a high price point for personalization. I can't personalize programs for 35,000 people. But when you've got that one-on-one client, you need to look at things, their needs, their training age, their goals, their personal preferences. So personal preferences can be things like, all right, I hate squatting. I want to build my legs, but I hate squatting. And then you go, okay, we're going to squat because you need a squat. Unless you're trying to be a powerlifter, there's no need to squat unless you don't want to. Squats are great. But again, you need to work around people's personal preferences for them to enjoy what they're doing. Ignoring the client's primary goal and needs. So I see this a lot. Client has a goal, for example, of getting strong for low reps on their squat and deadlift. And then a coach then gives them a real bodybuilding, high reps, superset kind of program, which is not specific to what their goal is. Why is the coach giving them that? Because most likely they're a bodybuilder and that's kind of how they train. So they're just going, well, this is what I do, so you should do it. And they've just completely ignored the client's goals and needs. So it's really, really, really important that we create programs specific to that individual's ability, but also obviously their goals. They're paying you to help them reach a goal. So we want to be specific with what we're doing. So random protocols, guys. So this is something we often see a lot, and I'm sure you see what kind of coaches is each workout, you might see a coach on Monday with a client, they do back squats 4x10. The next week they go, all right, let's just going to do 20 reps of leg extensions. And the next week we're going to do 5 sets of 5 front squats. It's just completely random and doesn't really make any sense. There's no flow. There's no building upon what they've done. It's just, yeah, let's just do this. Let's just do that. Why not? So random protocols lead to random results. Okay. So obviously, yes, it's good to repeat things, but we need to have a strategic reason for why things are there, and also just not just making it up every single session. That's not program design. That's literally just making it up. So with that, program never really changes. So sometimes it's good. Like I use programs obviously with clients for normally on average a 4-week training block. So they'll repeat a program for 4 weeks and then the next program. But sometimes it can get really stale. So you don't want to be changing programs obviously every week, because that's not really programming. But there comes kind of a diminishing returns effect where you go for too long. So that stimulus, your body just bangs on that same stimulus and starts to get really stale. And not only do the client starts to not progress physically, but mentally they also get really stagnant. They stop looking forward to their sessions. They stop dreading what they're doing. When a client becomes at a level where they're not excited, then performance can drop off. So this doesn't mean that you mix it up every single session. There's a balance. So I find, 3, 4, 5, 6 week programs work really well, because a client will progress and progress and progress. But after that, it starts to have those diminishing returns, both physically and mentally, especially for clients. No progress or evolution over the time. So this is something we actually go into a lot in the level 2 course, but how you take a client from beginner to an intermediate to advanced. Things need to progress. As their ability improves, your program design should evolve in turn with what's happening with your client. So are we just hoping for the best? Are we strategically planning out ways to take them from beginner to good, to great, to world elite? So if you're just kind of making up on the day, obviously that's not going to allow that to happen. But also if you're constantly just holding them back and not stepping up the level. If we go to school, obviously we go to year 1, year 2, year 3. That's the way we also want to look at training and program design. So big one, guys, number 6 is something I know we're probably all familiar with, is PT training clients like they do themselves. So powerlifters do this a lot. Not everyone, if there comes to them wanting to get a big squat, a lot of general population people just want to lose weight. They want to be healthy, lose weight, look a bit better, feel better. They don't care about doing a 1 rep max squat or deadlift or a powerlifting bench. It's just not specific to what they're trying to do. It's just a coach forcing their own likes onto a client. Of course, if you're a powerlifter and you get a client who wants that, go for it, perfect. But likewise, if you're a bodybuilder and you're doing a bro split, and then you get a Gen Pop beginner client who can train 3 days a week, and then you tell them they have to do a 5-day bro split, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So getting away from just seeing your client as you, coach the individual, not what you personally like. Majoring in the minors, so this is a big one. You see this a lot in nutrition, but also training programming. It's really focusing on the really small, minute details, those 1%ers. It's really only matter on the world elite. Bang for buck is what we really want. So again, we've got 10 by 10 dumbbell wrist curls. Is that the most productive thing for someone with fat loss goal? No. Could they be pushing their energy elsewhere to probably be compound movements that make a lot more sense? Obviously, yes. And then big one that really kills my life is those 20-minute movement prep, 20 minutes of foam rolling and then a 10-minute cool down. And then they've left the client only 30 minutes of actual training session. So that stuff is just stuff you want to get rid of because it's rampant at the moment in the fitness industry, which just makes no sense for what the client really, really needs. Doesn't factor in the training environment. So this is a big one. So I love to superset. I love to do trisets at stages for my clients, but not every gym will work well for this, especially if the client's training at, say, peak hour in the morning before work, right after work finishes, 5, 6 p.m. It's very hard to get anything, let alone be supersetting and doing trisets, or some gyms might have a squat rack, one level, and a leg curl, another level. So it could take minutes to walk through, and then by the time they come back, the squat rack's been taken. So just have the ability to communicate with your client. Tell me about your gym. What's your gym look like? How's the layout? Is it possible to superset? What time do you train? This information is all obviously very relevant if you are to create really effective training programs specific to what the client can do. So programming execution is always excessively hard or also too easy. So always too hard, where you see coaches think they're superstars because their client, general population client, limps out of the gym and is in the bathroom throwing up. That's not you being a good coach. It's just you not understanding what actually causes adaptation. So it's not about trying to smash your client and bully your client so they feel sick, especially general population clients. They're there to feel better and enjoy their session and progress. You don't need to kill them to do that. But likewise, you can also go too easy. So this is something I see a lot. I like the term being a rent-a-friend PT. So you're not there to be their best friend. They're paying you a service to get them results. So often you see people just laughing, hanging out, just going through the motions. My biggest pet peeve is when a client is doing a working set, and the trainer's just chatting to them mid-set, just about life and their weekend. No, shut the fuck up. Train them, coach them, cue them. Don't talk during their set. Okay, that is a big standard of coaching that needs to be improved. Okay, so we want to be, if we're talking during the set, it's purely to cue or motivate, but not too much motivating, not too much cueing, just enough. And then you're not talking about their life and their relationships and their weekends and stuff during the set. Use that time in the gym with them to, yes, by all means, have a nice relationship and get on with them, but you're not there to be their best friend, okay? So I'm confused. So what we mean by this is things where the clients don't really understand. So key training variables are not specified. So things like variable manipulation. So why are they doing high reps? So why are we gone and taking them to low rep phase and doing neurological? What's the point of that? Or, okay, we've now incorporated a rest pause or a drop set, but the client doesn't understand how to actually the percentage drop needed to correctly do a drop set, or they don't understand how long to rest for a rest pause. So explaining these details are going to allow your client to obviously get more out of the program. Prescription is excessively complex. So sometimes, trainers give clients all these crazy training splits and 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, and this day is a 2 a day and stuff like that. That's fine if you're training really, really advanced people, or their life is the gym and they live in the gym, or PTs and stuff like that. For most people, simplicity is the best. Having something a client can understand will then allow them to perform really well. The more you can understand something, the harder you can work. Okay. And the training protocols are not clearly explained. It's kind of on the training variables component. But again, the whys, the hows, why are they doing something? Let's explain it. All right. Say we're doing a Garonda method, which is an 8x8 insufficient rest periods. Why are they doing this? Well, what load percentage should they be choosing? How long do they rest? Why are they resting? So explaining, if you do something quite different, explain to the client what the variables are so they understand how to correctly load the bar and things like that, especially obviously in online coaching. So there's many variables to explain. So this is one of our program sheets. So you can see obviously what we've got here. We've got our the series, the A series. So that's the first exercise. The A series, barbell back squat. Then we've got a B series, which is going to be a superset, a partnership. So B1 and then B2. So A series is the straight set. B1 and B2 is a partnership. Then C1, C2 partnership. Then we've got a back squat, a Romanian deadlift. What are we using? A BB, so barbell. We're not doing a dumbbell. We're not doing a trap bar. We're saying what we're needing. We're doing a split squat, but what are we doing? We're doing a front foot elevated split squat. So we're putting that down there. Leg curl, we're doing the standing leg curl variation, etc. And obviously you got our sets, our rep range, our rest periods, the tempo, the sets for them to be able to log their weights each working set. So all these things really, really matter. So it's a lot of stuff, but your client also needs to understand how to read all of that. So in all my programs, I've got a section called reading the program. So a lot of people don't understand tempo. They don't understand how to rest. They don't understand that B1 and B2 doesn't mean they have no rest. People always think a superset means there's no rest in between, but here we've got 75 seconds rest, then 75 seconds rest. So make them understand these variables will allow them to execute that program better. Then also an overview of the program. So when we send out a program, we can send out an overview showing their schedule for their week, what days they're doing, which workout. So Monday, lower A, Tuesday, upper A, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We'll have their cardio. Glenn doesn't have steps listed here, but we have steps as well. So we've got the energy system we're training, aerobic on Wednesday, and then anaerobic, so more interval work on the Saturday. Sunday's off day, so it covers everything we have. And then Glenn's done a good job also explaining what's the identity of the program, what's going on in that program. For me, I normally just do that in an email, but Glenn has gone a little bit more fancy than me, putting it on the sheet. So all these things, guys, lead obviously to not just looking the part, but having your client understand things. So we're being specific with what we want. We're outlining what the goal is. We're explaining in detail the reps, the sets, the rest periods. We're explaining the condition. We're explaining the lifting schedule. So everything is explained. It's not just, hey, it's Monday, it's 5 p.m. Oh, hey, my client Jim's here. Hey, Jim, what's free? What did we do last week? Legs first. Let's just do bench press. That's free. That is not class coaching. That's not going to get you elite level results. And it's also obviously not going to build your business. Okay. So let's lift the level, and it all starts with understanding what we don't want to do with program design. So guys, hope that kind of really covers the key things you look for and probably hit home. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have done some of these stuff before, because I know I have. We all start somewhere, but the goal is to get better and improve on this.